a former president has been charged with a crime. We don't know the exact charges yet, but they are related to the $130,000 hush money payment made to porn star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. The former president tells ABC News that the indictment is just an example of political persecution, calling it an attack on our country. As sources tell us, he's expected to turn himself in as early as Tuesday. Senior investigative reporter joining now outside the courthouse there in Manhattan, where Trump is expected to surrender, along with ABC's Jay O'Brien, outside Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Aaron, let's start with you. We know that the district attorney's office is already in contact with Trump's team. Let's talk about the latest on those negotiations. And is there a time limit for the former president to actually turn himself in? And what exactly would that look like?
There's but for security reasons, I think the authorities from the district attorney's office, the Secret Service, the NYPD, were all hoping for as short a time frame as possible between the moment the indictment was returned on Thursday afternoon to the time that Trump is finally arraigned here in court. We're told that's going to happen early next week, likely Tuesday afternoon. But the authorities are here now, trying to plan for how that surrender is going to go. The Secret Service has been here for most of the day, along with the police, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the court officers. We think this is all going to happen on the 15th floor of the building behind me. That is now off limits to members of the public. There are metal barricades right there in the hallway as the Secret Service and others work to make sure that all of this is secure for the former president's arrival here.
So, Jay, what's the scene like there in Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, Mar-a-Lago is right here, right across the water from us, Kira. That is, again, a private enclave-type community for the very wealthy. But the scene is somewhat different than what we've seen in the past. I'll give you an example. When the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago in search of those classified documents, there were dozens of Trump supporters in pickup trucks driving through the streets of that private island community, blaring music, blaring horns, showing their support for the former president. Today, just less than 24 hours after that indictment dropped, we have only seen about a handful of Trump supporters, only about 10. I saw one man on the road. He was in a pickup pickup truck full of Trump decals. I asked him, are more people going to show up? He said, I think so. I spoke with one prominent pro-Trump demonstrator here in West Palm Beach who's organized a number of demonstrations in support of the former president. He says he's got no plans to have a demonstration tonight or this weekend, and he'll see what happens on Tuesday. All of that despite the fact that former President Trump last week, when he indicated that he might be indicted, called on his supporters to protest. Nonetheless, we have not seen many of the supporters turn out today. We'll see how the day progresses, Kira.
All right. And Aaron, the grand jury has heard from some key witnesses, including Stormy Daniels and Trump's former attorney and fixer Michael Cohen. Earlier on GMA, George Stephanopoulos asked Cohen about his testimony. Let's listen.
One of the defenses here is likely to be wasn't about the election at all. This was just Donald Trump trying to keep a personal matter private.
Right. The documents will speak for themselves.
Documents.
Yes.
So not just your testimony.
No. And it's also corroborating testimony, but it's documents.
Aaron, I think we know after the many, many months of listening to Michael Cohen, he's got the receipts.
Well, it's a paper case, and we think if one of the charges is falsifying business records, this is all about what was written down and how it was all accounted for. So it isn't just going to be the testimony of Michael Cohen, although he has emerged as something of a star witness since he says he was directed by former President Trump to pay off Stormy Daniels. But there are going to be ledgers and perhaps tax records and other documents that a jury would eventually see, assuming this goes to trial. And all of that is going to weigh against what the defense might say, which is it's had nothing to do with the campaign and everything to do with keeping tawdry details of an alleged affair away from former First Lady Melania Trump. And we'll see how successful the defense can be at pressing that argument. And Kira, we should say, since we have not seen the full indictment yet and won't until Trump appears here in court next week, we don't know how extensive the case may ultimately be and what else the district attorney's office might be focused on.
All right, stay tuned. More to come. Jay O'Brien, Aaron Katursky, thank you, gentlemen, very much. And for more, investigative reporter Catherine Falders is here in Washington. She's also been covering this since last night. Catherine, what more are we learning about the former president's thinking at this time?
Oh, well, look, we know from inside his camp and from people who have been speaking to him all night and this morning that he essentially was shocked by this. They didn't think that it would happen this soon. Kira, you've been covering Trump for quite some time too, and understand the inner workings of this. He was posting on his social media the other day that he loved grand juries because for some reason he thought that they had decided that they wouldn't go down this road. But he's been working the phones, talking to his lawyers. There was thinking at one point that maybe he wouldn't come up to New York, which would create all sorts of other headaches logistically. But what we do know is that at least he's planning to leave Florida and come up to New York on Tuesday. That's at least the plan right now, but he is still working the phones, and this does seem to have really rattled him, at least for right now.
As we well know, he always has surprised us, and he's exactly the type that would show up and make the walk and probably talk to people and shake hands and make a spectacle of it. And so it'll be interesting to see, is that what he's going to do, create a big media circus, or is he just going to operate behind the scenes? It'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. Meanwhile, what's been the reaction from Republicans here in Washington?
Well, look, you've seen the Republicans on Capitol Hill immediately come to the former president's defense here. They've even pledged to investigate the investigators. We've heard from Speaker McCarthy. He's posted on his social media on Twitter right there. He's saying that this is weaponized, that the DA has weaponized our sacred system of justice. Jim Jordan, of course, who is leading one of these investigations, just tweeted one word. He said outrageous. So we're hearing from those Republicans. But Kira, take a listen to what the former vice president had to say.
I think the unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States on a campaign finance issue is an outrage. And it appears to millions of Americans to be nothing more than a political prosecution that's driven by a prosecutor who literally ran for office on the pledge to indict the former president.
Kira, we're hearing more and more comments like these. It's important to point out that Mike Pence was saying this appears to be campaign finance. We know what it relates to, but the reality is this indictment is sealed. Grand jury proceedings are secret, so nobody knows quite yet what exactly, of course, is in this indictment and what the charges are.
All right, a lot more to come. Catherine Falters, thank you so much. And for more legal analysis on the Manhattan indictment of former President Donald Trump, let's bring in our legal contributors and also our law professor at American